Guys, so tonight we're talking about capitalism. Make sure that you have looked over the SOL outline that I printed out for you and you glued into your notebook on the top of page 99. So read through that. Make sure that you know the big points of capitalism that you need to take notes on and need to know. But be taking notes on all the information from this video. It's all important. But make sure you have read that outline. If you haven't, pause your video, read through it, and then restart it. But let's go ahead and get started. Capitalism. Capitalism is an economic theory, but we need to understand the background of economics that lead to capitalism, what's going on in society that leads to the emergence of capitalism. So during the Industrial Revolution, there's this gap which emerges between the wealthy and poor. So a large social gap and economic gap emerges between the wealthy and the poor. Wealthy business owners are making a lot of money off of the Industrial Revolution, these factory systems, these businesses that have emerged. So they're making a lot of money and they like the way things are going. So they want the government, they want limited government interference in economics because they like the way that things are going. They want the economy to be free from government influence so that they can continue, the economy will continue the way it is going. Reformers, or typically poor people or people who are working to reform economics for the poor classes, want government to play an active role in the economy. They think that the government should shape the economy so that it fixes the social wrongs that are happening, so that it benefits the poor, that reforms are made that help the poor and alleviate the poor in society. So from this, some different economic ideologies or theories emerged. One of those being the laissez-faire economics, or a laissez-faire type of economics. This laissez-faire just refers to an economic policy of letting industry owners run their businesses the way that they want to. So industry owners set the working conditions. They decide how industry is going to work, how the economy is going to work. They control the means of production, what they're going to do. So this is kind of how the Industrial Revolution started. These industry owners set hours and wages. They set production. They had a lot of control in how the economy worked and how things went. This policy favors a free market and that's unregulated by the government. What this means is that the industry owners, people who are involved, the business owners, people who are involved in industry, they let the market be, and they let the market, government doesn't interfere. People can produce what they want to produce and the quantities they want to produce. They can set prices for those products as they please. They can pay their workers as they want. They can set the hours they want. The industry owners and these business people make all the decisions in this type of government. Laissez-faire is a French word for let do. So let them do what they please. It's a policy. Laissez-faire economics is government-free economics. You see the thing up there that says hands-off government policy. So the government is not involved in economics and laissez-faire economics. Let's move into the emergence of capitalism. So there's this guy, Adam Smith. He was a Scottish professor. I couldn't remember. Scottish professor. And in 1776, he writes a book called The Wealth of Nations. And in this book, he is supporting the idea of a laissez-faire type of government, of a free market economy. Adam Smith believes that this is the best type of economy, that it's the way that the economy is going to operate the most smoothly, and that it's the way that economies are going to prosper, is the free market economy. So in his book, he's defending the free market economy, like we just said, and he comes up with some ideas, specifically ideas on the natural laws of economics. So let's talk a little bit about this. So the first one is self-interest. So this law of self-interest says that people are going to do what is best for that person. People are going to work for their own common good. So if you let the economy be as it is, people are going to participate in economic practices that are beneficial to them, and that's going to benefit society as a whole. The law of competition. Smith said the law of competition means that if that people are going to produce products, better products, so that they can compete. So competition forces people to create better products and bring better products to market, and everyone benefits when better products are brought to market. Think about cell phones is probably the most applicable for all of you today. The cell phone companies are in constant competition with each other to bring a better phone, a better product, a better, more user-friendly product to the people. We benefit from this because we get really awesome programs on our cell phones. We get phones that do a lot for us. This competition between these companies to create the best product makes our lives easier, and we are benefiting from it. So that's the law of competition. And then the law of supply and demand. What this means is that if the economy is let to be the way it is, if there's a free market economy, enough goods will be produced at the lowest possible cost to satisfy the demand within the economy. So, companies will create enough products at a low cost point that everyone, all the need in society, everyone who needs that product will have that product. It will satisfy the demand in the economy. So Smith believed that an open and free market economy was the best and most efficient type of economy, that all these laws that occur naturally in economics regulated naturally what needed to happen that would best benefit society, not just business owners. And so from all of these ideas, the concept of capitalism emerges. Capitalism is an economic system in which the factors of production, or the means for producing things, so factories, capital, resources, all of those things that you need to produce goods, are privately owned. That means that individuals can own them. So I could own my own factory, and I'd own the fields that the resources came off of to make things in my factory. I would control wages and the laborers within my factory. I would set all of those things. So I own privately all the means for producing goods. And it's also important that in a capitalist system, money is invested in businesses for a profit. So if I owned a business and you wanted to invest in my business because you believe that I had a good business, you could invest money in my business, and when I made a profit, you would make a profit off of that money. That's an important part of capitalism. So economic system in which the means for production, all the parts that you need for producing goods, are owned privately. Investors invest money or capital into businesses, and they can make profits off of those investments. So that's essentially, in a nutshell, what capitalism is. It emerges from all of those political ideas that we talked about. And now let's look and shift and look at the impacts of capitalism. So role of market competition and entrepreneurial abilities. So what this means is that we just talked about Smith's ideas on competition. So in a capitalist society, there are people who are entrepreneurs. Those are the inventors, the people who go out and start businesses, take risks, come up with the ideas, produce the products. Inventors, those are entrepreneurs. And in this market of competition, when there's a free market and there's competition is allowed to exist within the market, it encourages entrepreneurs to create products, to create better products. It encourages investment, and competition grows because of that. Look at the cell phone market. Once cell phones became something that everyone in society wanted, there are more and more companies who are creating these phones. They're in competition with each other. They're constantly trying to come up with new programs and new applications and new features to their phones that will make their phones better. And we as consumers benefit from that. Standard of living and growth of the middle class. We talked about this a little bit in our last video on the impacts of the Industrial Revolution. The standard of living increases. We have a better standard of living because of capitalism. There's competition. These businesses are competing to create better products so that we will want to buy their products. So we benefit from better products. They also have to compete for price points. So if Apple created an iPhone, they're really expensive anyway, but if Apple created an iPhone that was $1,400, but Samsung created a phone that was comparable and you could get it for $400, then obviously Samsung is going to get people's business because people are going to want a better priced phone. And so we benefit from this because those companies are in competition for price too. So they're trying to create the best product at the lowest price so that they can get the most people buying their product. So the standard of living increases because not only are there better products, they're at better prices, but also people, entrepreneurs, business people starting businesses creates jobs. So now there's more jobs for working class people, and they're getting paid wages. They have more money to buy consumer goods, to buy food, to provide for their families. So the standard of living is increasing because of all of these things, these parts of capitalism working together. And with this comes the growth of the middle class. Remember from our last video, the middle class are those skilled laborers, those business people, those landowners. Capitalism supports the creation of businesses and people starting their own businesses and inventing things. And when your economic system supports that, then people are going to, start their own businesses. They're going to create things, invent things, create products, and they're going to profit from that. So people are making a living. There's a middle class that emerges of these skilled laborers, these business people who are filling a new role in society. And last, dissatisfaction of the working poor. So while the standard of living for most is increasing, the working poor are still, for the most part of the Industrial Revolution, it's not until much later that their standard of living increases and that conditions get better for them. So capitalism it's largely based on a laissez-faire type of government, a more hands-off approach to government, or a more hands-off government approach to economics for government. So government is more hands-off in economics, even though it doesn't have to totally be that way, but it works. Capitalism in its purest sense would function best when the government is not involved in economics. And so these working poor, and especially during the Industrial Revolution, there aren't regulations on their hours or on their wages or on children laborers or how long women can work in factories. There aren't regulations on how these businesses, these entrepreneurs, these business owners set their wages or influence their living conditions. So the working poor still have low wages, long hours. Their living conditions are still poor within a capitalist society. There is still a gap that exists between that wealthy business class and the working poor. So those are the impacts of socialism. So let's see, working conditions we talked about. Unequal distribution of wealth is that gap that we're talking about. So business owners are making more and more money in the system of capitalism, where the working class is not. They're working really, really hard for very little. So that is what that means. All right, so I think that concludes our video on capitalism. Tomorrow night we have a video on communism, which is kind of in response to capitalism. So you'll see the differences between the two then. Thanks.